They won't teach you this in school. Most people will go their entire lives without understanding one powerful truth. Your life is not controlled by luck, talent, or chance. It's controlled by what comes out of your mouth, what you allow into your mind, how you hold your mood, and how you handle your money. And Neville Goddard knew this long before the world was ready to hear it. He didn't speak of fate. He didn't rely on empty motivation. He taught something deeper, something that challenges everything you've been told about success, happiness, and freedom. Neville revealed that imagination is not fantasy. It's not daydreaming. It is the creative force of life itself. He said, man is all imagination, and God is man, and exists in us, and we in him. To Neville, your inner world creates your outer world. Every experience, your struggles, your success, your relationships, even your bank accounts, starts in the unseen world of thought and feeling. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Neville taught that there are 4 key areas you must master if you want to take control of your reality: your mouth, your mind, your mood, and your money. Each of these areas is a thread connected to the life you are constantly weaving. Control them, and you control your future. Ignore them, and you live as a victim of circumstance, always reacting to a world you could have shaped. In this video, you're going to learn how Neville Goddard's most overlooked teachings reveal the secret to aligning these 4 forces. You'll discover why a single careless word can block your progress. You'll understand how unguarded thoughts quietly sabotage your deepest desires. You'll see why your mood is more than just a feeling, it's a mirror reflecting the world you carry within. And you'll finally understand how money, often misunderstood in spiritual teachings, is a reflection of inner balance, not a prize earned through struggle. You'll also hear some ideas Neville rarely explained directly, ideas that tie these 4 forces together. You'll learn how to bring your life back into alignment, not through affirmations or rituals, but by understanding the quiet laws that shape your existence. This isn't theory. This is the foundation of your reality. Let me ask you something. Have you ever spoken negatively about your life, about money, or about yourself, and felt something inside you close off? That wasn't just talk. That was creation. Your words are not just sounds, they are blueprints. Neville taught that when the tongue is used unconsciously, it becomes a weapon. But when used with awareness, it becomes a tool, one that can build exactly what you want. The same is true for your mind. Neville's core teaching was simple but radical. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. But there's a catch. You can't change your conception of yourself unless you first learn to control the thoughts that dominate. When you're alone, when no one's watching, when your guard is down, that's where your true creation begins. And then there's your mood. Neville said something most people miss. Mood is the key to all creation. That means how you feel before anything even happens holds more power than anything you do. Your emotional state sends a signal, and the world responds in kind. In this video, you'll learn how to enter and hold the mood of the wish fulfilled. You'll learn how to become the version of yourself who already has the life you want, long before it shows up. That's the secret. And it works. And yes, Neville talked about money, not in the way you might expect, but in a much more powerful way. He said that wealth flows to those who already see themselves as wealthy, not just in their minds, but in their state of being. You don't chase money, you don't wait for it. You assume the identity of someone who already has it. Then and only then does it arrive, not by magic, not by chance, but by reflection. Most people try to fix their lives from the outside in. They chase solutions, advice, and shortcuts. But Neville flipped the formula. He said, fix the inside first. Your words, your thoughts, your emotional tone, and the outside world will follow. That's not hope, that's law. In this video, we're not just exploring his teachings, we're uncovering a forgotten system, a blueprint for personal mastery that leads to clarity, peace, and inner strength. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to shift your speech, clear your mind, Master your mood and welcome financial flow, not through control, but through alignment. Welcome to Ignis Mindset. If you're ready to take back control of your life through the wisdom of Neville Goddard, make sure to subscribe and join us on this journey of powerful transformation. Before we talk about the mind and its powerful patterns, we need to stop and understand something most people never question: the words that leave our mouths. Neville Goddard often reminded us that words are not empty noise, they are seeds, seeds that fall into the fertile soil of imagination, and from there they grow into the reality we experience. Think about your daily conversations. How often do you say things like, I can't afford that, or that never works out for me, or even I'm always tired? These words might feel casual, like just expressing how you feel. But according to Neville, every word you speak is a command to your subconscious mind. You're not just describing your world, you're creating it. He said, your inner speech mirrors your outer world. That means if you want to change your life, you can't only work on what you think, you have to change what you say. Many of us unknowingly curse our future by speaking limitation into existence. Neville warned against this. He believed that if you truly understood the power of the tongue, you would never speak negatively about anything you desire to improve. This is where conscious speech becomes a tool for transformation. Instead of saying, I don't have enough, try everything I need is already on its way. It may sound simple, but the shift is massive. Words direct your imagination, and your imagination is what creates. When you say something with emotion, it sinks deeper. That's why angry words and fearful phrases leave such a heavy mark. You don't just speak them, you feel them, and what you feel, you manifest. Neville's practice of inner conversations is built on this idea. He taught that your self-talk, both spoken and silent, is always shaping your path. When you replay past failures or complain about your current reality, you're watering the seeds of struggle. But when you speak with the tone of someone who already has what they want, you begin to shift into that version of yourself. Now let's talk about the mind. Because even if you say the right words, if your thoughts don't agree, you'll feel that tension, and so will your results. The mind, according to Neville, is the engine behind manifestation. Every dominant thought becomes a belief, and every belief becomes a filter through which you see the world. So if you're always thinking in terms of lack, fear, or doubt, even the best opportunity will appear dangerous or out of reach. Neville said, to be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. That means no amount of hoping or wishing can change your life unless you change the root patterns of your mind. These patterns are formed through repetition. Whatever you think about most becomes your mental home. If your thoughts are filled with worry, then your life will reflect anxiety. If your thoughts are filled with gratitude and confidence, then your life will reflect peace and growth. Mental discipline isn't about forcing yourself to be positive. It's about becoming aware of your inner world. Most people are not thinking, they're reacting. Their minds are busy replaying yesterday's pain and tomorrow's fear. Neville challenged us to interrupt that cycle. He believed in the power of selective attention. He taught us to choose our thoughts like we choose our clothes, deliberately and with purpose. One of his most powerful teachings was this: assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He didn't say wish for the feeling. He said assume it. That means make it your mental state, your default mood, even when nothing on the outside has changed. Why? Because your imagination, once it accepts something as true, begins to align everything else with that image. The mind does not argue. It accepts what you persistently feed it. So what does that look like in practice? Let's say you're trying to manifest a new job. Most people would obsess over resumes, applications, and timelines. But Neville would ask, what would it feel like if you already had it? What thoughts would naturally flow through your mind? What would your inner speech sound like? Instead of worrying about being rejected, you would feel secure, relaxed, and even excited. That state becomes the new pattern you train your mind to hold. This is not about pretending, it's about shifting identity. You are no longer a person trying to become successful. You are someone who is successful, and the outside world is catching up. That's mental discipline. That's the true application of faith. Neville said faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. You don't need to convince the world. You need to convince your mind. Once your mind accepts the new truth, the world follows. But here's the secret most people miss. Mental discipline is not something you do once. It's a daily practice, a lifestyle. Your mind will always try to return to the familiar, to the old patterns that feel safe, even if they're painful. That's why repetition is key. The more you hold a thought, the more it becomes your natural state, and your state determines your fate. This is why Neville often spoke about the importance of morning and night. These are the times when the mind is most open, most impressionable. If you can control your thoughts as you fall asleep, you are planting seeds in the most fertile ground. And if you start your day by choosing your state, the rest of your day will reflect that choice. Your thoughts are not just private ideas. They are vibrations, signals, directions to the deeper part of you that runs the show. If you want to change your life, don't just wish for better. Discipline your thinking. Speak only what aligns with your desire. Think only what aligns with your ideal. And most importantly, feel the truth of what you want as if it's already here. That's not fantasy. That's creation. That's the work. Neville never said it would be easy. He said it would be worth it. Because once you master your mouth and your mind, everything else starts to shift. The outer world is just a mirror. If you don't like what you see, change what you're sending out. Control your speech. Control your thought patterns. And you will begin to see a new world unfold around you. One that reflects your inner power, not your outer past. There is a silent force that shapes every action you take, every decision you make, and every outcome you experience. That force is your mood. Neville Goddard placed great importance on emotional states, not just fleeting feelings, but the deeper mood that settles into your body and mind like a background frequency. Your mood becomes your magnet. Whatever you consistently feel, you eventually live. Moods are not accidental. They are cultivated. And once a certain mood becomes familiar, it begins to shape your world. Neville once said, "A change of feeling is a change of destiny." This wasn't a poetic statement. It was a formula. If you want to shift what you experience in life, you must first shift what you feel throughout your day. A calm and confident mood attracts clarity. A mood of frustration or fear pulls in more confusion. Life echoes your emotional atmosphere. Many people try to manifest from a place of lack and anxiety. They do the affirmations, the visualizations, but they stay in a mood of "I don't have it yet." That mood cancels the work. Neville taught that your emotional state is the proof of your assumption. You don't have to convince anyone else. You just have to feel the truth of your desire as if it's already yours. Once your mood carries that energy, your actions, your choices, your timing all begin to align naturally. But how do you keep a desired mood when the world around you feels chaotic? Neville gave us simple, powerful techniques. One of them is revision. At the end of your day, if something disturbed your peace or lowered your mood, go back in imagination and rewrite it. Not just the facts, but the feeling. Instead of going to sleep angry or disappointed, imagine the situation going your way. Feel the relief, feel the joy, fall asleep in that new mood. Your subconscious doesn't argue, it accepts what you give it. And if you give it peace, it will reproduce that peace in your outer world. Another technique is to deliberately choose your reactions. You cannot control every event, but you can control the meaning you give to each event. That meaning becomes your emotional anchor. If something goes wrong, you can say, this is a setback, and feel defeated. Or you can say, this is preparing me for something better, and feel empowered. That shift in mood doesn't happen by accident. It's an inner decision. Neville taught us to walk by faith, not by sight, which means to live emotionally in the state of your wish fulfilled, regardless of appearances. Sustaining a high mood is not about pretending to be happy. It's about choosing alignment. Ask yourself, what is the natural mood of the person who already has what I want? Are they anxious? Are they doubtful? No. They are secure, grateful, free. Adopt that mood now. Wear it like a garment. If you do it long enough, it becomes your new normal. And your normal always becomes your reality. This brings us to the final and often misunderstood topic, money. Most people see money as something external, something to chase or earn or deserve. But Neville saw it differently. He understood money as a reflection, an outer symbol of your inner state. If your mouth speaks lack, your mind dwells on limitation, and your mood is filled with worry, then no strategy can bring lasting wealth. True prosperity starts inside. Wealth, according to Neville, is not about the amount in your bank account. It's about the state you occupy. He said, assume the feeling of wealth. Do not wait for the money to come to feel rich. Feel it now. This is not about fantasy. It's about frequency. When you live in the feeling of abundance, your actions become bolder. Your energy becomes magnetic. And money begins to show up through channels you could never plan. The mistake most people make is trying to use imagination to get rich, while still feeling poor. They repeat affirmations while being ruled by moods of fear and survival. But the subconscious doesn't obey words, it obeys feelings. If you say, I am wealthy, while feeling broke, the dominant emotion wins. That's why Neville emphasized the importance of emotional discipline. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot desire wealth while mentally clinging to struggle. To manifest money, you must first let go of your identity as someone who lacks. Start speaking with the tone of a person who is already supported. Think like someone who always has more than enough. Feel the peace, the freedom, the generosity that comes with financial ease. That's not lying to yourself. That's retraining your inner identity. And once your identity changes, your habits change, your decisions change, and wealth follows. Neville didn't teach us to hustle harder. He taught us to imagine smarter. He told us to see ourselves in possession of the thing we desire, not from a place of need, but from a place of knowing, knowing that the law of assumption works, knowing that imagination creates reality. Money, in his philosophy, is not a prize, it's a byproduct. When your mouth speaks abundance, your mind thinks in alignment, and your mood matches the feeling of prosperity, money must appear, not as magic, but as a natural result. One of his most powerful examples was the idea of planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to check on it. You plant it, you water it, and you trust the process. In the same way, when you assume the feeling of wealth, you do not look to your current circumstances for proof. You trust that what you planted will grow. That trust becomes a calm mood, and that calm mood becomes the container for your blessing. You may not know how the money will come. That's not your job. Your job is to maintain the state. Speak in a way that honors your desire. Think in a way that supports your goal. Feel in a way that aligns with your dream. That is the creative process. That is the foundation of wealth. So if you find yourself struggling financially, don't start with the bank account. Start with the inner account. What are you depositing into your speech, your thoughts, your feelings every day? Are you investing in fear, or are you investing in faith? Neville's teachings offer a path, not of chasing, but of aligning. The more you control your mouth, the more you guide your mind. The more you guide your mind, the more you shift your mood. And once your mood reflects the reality you desire, the outer world has no choice but to follow. This is not theory, it's law. And those who learn to master it discover that abundance was never out there. It was always a state within. What you assume to be true becomes true for you. That was Neville Goddard's core message about the law of assumption. It's not about wishful thinking. It's not about hoping something might happen. It's about fully accepting, deep in your imagination, that it has already happened, that you are already the person you want to become, that the reality you want to live in is already yours. Now, not in the future, not when conditions are perfect, but right here, right now, within your consciousness. Neville taught that the world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting back the state you occupy. If you assume lack, the world reflects more lack. If you assume success, even when nothing around you looks successful, the world begins to shift. It has to, because everything begins in the unseen realm of thought and feeling. The law of assumption is the blueprint behind the scenes. The outer world is just the printout. Assuming a new state doesn't require effort. It requires faith in imagination. It requires emotional acceptance of the outcome. Neville would say, you must dare to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That means walk through life feeling as if it's already done, not pretending, not performing, dwelling in that state, feeling the peace of the answer, not the anxiety of the question. He gave powerful examples. A man wanting a better job shouldn't go begging for it in imagination. Instead, he should sit quietly, close his eyes, and imagine shaking hands with someone congratulating him. Feel the weight of success. Hear the words. Smell the office. Walk with that posture. Talk with that confidence. Carry that mood throughout the day. Then the unseen begins to move. Circumstances bend. The right people, ideas, and opportunities arrive, not by chance, but by law. Another example Neville shared was of a woman who wanted her estranged husband to return. Instead of calling him or chasing the issue, she assumed the state of reconciliation. She imagined falling asleep in his arms, night after night. She didn't ask how it would happen. She just persisted in the state. Within weeks, he called unexpectedly, asking to come home. Not because she manipulated reality, but because she matched the state of her desire. The law of assumption doesn't wait for proof. It creates the proof. You're not told to believe in what your senses show. You're told to believe in the unseen, because what you see now is just the echo of your past assumptions. Change the assumption, and the echo must change too. This is not magic, it's spiritual law. You live in the end, and the means unfold naturally. But here's the challenge. Most people assume from habit. They assume failure, rejection, or delay, not because they want to, but because they're used to it. That's where inner conversation comes in. It's one thing to visualize your success for 5 minutes. It's another to carry that tone all day in your self-talk. Neville said that what you whisper to yourself in the silence of your mind matters more than what you say out loud. Every moment, you're engaged in a conversation with yourself. Most of it goes unnoticed, but it sets the tone for your life. If you constantly rehearse doubts, replay arguments, or predict failure, those thoughts become your state, and that state becomes your experience. Your inner world is not private. It's not harmless. It is the seedbed of everything you call reality. So how do you align your inner conversation? First, observe it. Notice what you say to yourself when no one is listening. Are you supportive? Or are you criticizing, doubting, worrying? Awareness is the beginning of change. Neville advised that you don't fight with negative thoughts. Instead, replace them, redirect them. Use the same imagination that once feared the worst to now expect the best. Speak to yourself as the person you wish to be, not just once, but consistently. If you desire wealth, don't just affirm it, converse with it. Hear your future self say, you always knew the money would come. If you want love, Hear yourself say, "You are deeply valued and chosen." Make these voices familiar. Fill your mental environment with them until they become second nature. One powerful method Neville taught was to revise inner conversations, just like we revise memories. If you catch yourself mentally arguing, stop. Replace the argument with a blessing. If your mind replays a rejection, revise it into acceptance. Not because you're running from truth, but because you're establishing a new truth, one that leads to life, not fear. He reminded us that faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. If you remain loyal to the new conversation, the outer world will eventually catch up. But this requires persistence, not effort, not struggle, just persistence in assumption, persistence in tone, persistence in identity. Neville often said, all transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. That desire must take root in your inner talk. You can't say, "I am successful" once in the morning and then complain to yourself all afternoon. You must guard your mental diet the way you guard your body. Only allow in what feeds your goal. Speak to yourself in the tone of victory. Let that voice become the loudest one you hear. You may not control every thought that enters your mind, but you can control which ones you entertain. Inner conversations are not background noise. They are the script you live by. Rewrite the script, and you rewrite your life. Neville made it clear, what you assume and what you inwardly say about yourself is what becomes, whether it's health, relationships, or money. It all begins in the unseen. It begins with how you feel, how you think, and how you talk to yourself when no one else is around. This is not about positive thinking for the sake of feeling good. It's about entering the state of your desire so deeply that it becomes more real to you than your present facts. Once that happens, the facts will have no choice but to rearrange. You're not just imagining change, you are becoming the change. That is the secret Neville wanted every person to understand. Not because it flatters the ego, but because it frees the soul. There is a hidden power in feeling deeper than thinking, louder than speaking. Neville Goddard taught that to truly manifest your desire, you must feel as if it's already yours. Not just think about it, not just hope for it, but actually embody the emotional state that comes after the wish is fulfilled. He called it the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and he insisted that this is the key that unlocks the unseen forces behind every manifestation. When you feel something deeply and consistently, it creates a shift in your inner world. That shift becomes a command to reality itself. Neville explained that emotion is the carrier of creation. It's not enough to imagine success like a movie scene. You must feel the thrill, the satisfaction, the calm certainty that you would naturally feel if the desire were already a fact in your life. Let's say your desire is financial freedom. Most people imagine a pile of money or a big house, but that's not what creates change. Instead, ask, how would I feel if I truly had financial freedom right now? Perhaps you'd feel relaxed, perhaps grateful, maybe even peaceful. That feeling, that emotional state is what you must bring into your present moment. Because when you live in the emotion of the outcome, you become one with it. Neville would say, you must be in the consciousness of being or having that which you want to be or to have. This is not just acting or pretending. It's stepping into the version of yourself who already has the thing. It's wearing the feeling like a coat. The feeling is not a side effect of the manifestation, it is the cause of it. To cultivate this feeling, Neville encouraged simple silent scenes played over and over in the imagination. Choose a moment that implies your wish is fulfilled. It could be something subtle, like a friend saying, "I'm proud of you," or a bank notification showing your new balance. Feel the scene. Don't just watch it, enter it, touch it, hear it, live in it. And above all, feel what it would mean to you emotionally. He taught that the best time for this practice is just before sleep, when the mind is quiet and more impressionable. In that drowsy in-between state, you're most open to planting seeds that bypass the doubts of the conscious mind. Lay in bed, close your eyes, and drop into the feeling. Let it saturate your body. Let it replace the need to try. Let it be. Now, even with this practice, you might find yourself haunted by old memories, experiences that contradict your new state. That's where Neville's technique of revision becomes essential. Revision is the act of mentally changing the meaning or details of a past event so that it supports your desired outcome rather than undermining it. To Neville, the past is not fixed. It lives in your consciousness, and what lives in consciousness can be reshaped. This doesn't mean denying what happened. It means choosing a new meaning, one that aligns with who you wish to be now. Suppose you had a job interview that went poorly. Rather than replay the mistake, close your eyes and revise it. See yourself walking into the room with confidence. Hear the interviewer say, "You're exactly what we're looking for." Feel the handshake, the offer, the celebration. This revision, when done with sincerity and feeling, begins to rewrite the emotional script your subconscious holds on to. And once that internal script changes, your external reality must follow. Neville explained that our reactions to life are more powerful than events themselves. Revision allows you to change your reactions. You rewrite the memory with love, success, peace, whatever emotion serves your new assumption. This doesn't erase the past. It transforms its impact on your future. He gave many examples of people using revision to transform relationships, health outcomes, and even years of struggle. One story was of a woman whose brother had rejected her help. She felt hurt and distant. Neville told her to revise the scene, so in her mind she replayed the moment with her brother, warmly thanking her instead. She did this nightly. Within a short time, the brother contacted her with a tone of warmth and reconciliation. These results weren't coincidence. They were law. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you revise a memory with enough emotion and repetition, your mind accepts it as true, and that new truth becomes the foundation for your reality. Both the feeling of the wish fulfilled and the power of revision work together. The first creates the emotional tone of your future. The second clears away the emotional debris of your past. They cleanse the inner space and fill it with the new state you wish to live in. And this is not just mental gymnastics. It's spiritual transformation, because when you shift how you feel and how you interpret your story, you shift your entire experience of life. Neville believed that life does not happen to you. It flows through you. The only question is, what are you accepting as true within? Feeling and revision are tools of responsibility. They allow you to stop blaming conditions and start claiming your power. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start saying, "How can I feel this differently now?" You stop waiting for evidence and start becoming the cause. This kind of work is quiet. It happens in silence, but it's where the most powerful change begins. It doesn't demand struggle. It demands awareness and a willingness to dwell, not just occasionally, but continually, in the state of your wish fulfilled. So when you close your eyes tonight, don't just think about your dream life. Step into it, feel it, and if a memory creeps in to tell you otherwise, revise it. Not to deny your experience, but to free yourself from its limitation. That is the secret Neville wanted to share, not as a theory, but as a daily practice. There is a state you must learn to live from, not just visit. Neville Goddard called it living in the end. It means seeing yourself not as someone who wants, but as someone who has, as someone who no longer needs to ask, because the desire is already fulfilled. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't wonder how it will happen. You simply are. When you live in the end, you assume the feeling of the wish already fulfilled, and then behave, think, and feel from that place. Everything changes. Your mood stabilizes. Your reactions shift. You no longer live from lack. You live from peace, from certainty. You may not see the result yet with your eyes, but you walk as if it's already yours. And the world, obedient as a shadow, begins to rearrange itself to reflect that inner state. Neville was clear. This isn't daydreaming. This is commitment. You remain faithful to that end, no matter what appears. If doubt arises, you return inward. If the world shows the opposite, you do not react. You reaffirm it is done. The state is real. This is the power of inner conviction. Someone might say, but I don't see the result. Neville would answer, you do not need to see it. You only need to feel it. Feel that it's finished. That's all. The longer you dwell there, the faster reality complies. Not through force, not through effort, but through spiritual law. Your outer world must match your inner assumption. That is the law of assumption. Living in the end frees you from confusion and struggle. It teaches you not to live towards something, but from something. From love, from wealth, from health, from peace. It places the responsibility on your inner life, where it always belonged. The imagination is not something you use occasionally. It becomes the place you dwell. Neville often said, all transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. Living in the end fuels that transformation. You identify not with your problems, but with your potential. You stop asking, how long will it take? And instead ask, who am I now? You let that answer shape your behavior. For example, if your desire is to be confident, you do not wait until people approve of you. You begin thinking, moving, and speaking as someone who already knows their worth. That version of you already exists within. You're not creating it, you're remembering it, stepping into it, and letting the world catch up. This mindset isn't passive. It's active belief. It's trust in the unseen. And it requires discipline, not discipline in action, but discipline in assumption. You must protect your inner state. You must refuse to entertain the old story. Neville reminded us, do not discuss your dreams. Do not argue them. Simply feel them real. Now, all of this, controlling the mouth, the mind, the mood, and the money, comes down to one central theme: mastery over self. That is the final key. The true work is not in changing circumstances, but in mastering your reactions to them. When you take charge of your speech, you plant better seeds. When you take charge of your mind, you water those seeds. When you master your mood, you provide sunlight. And when you align all of these, abundance, yes, even in money, flows naturally. Neville never said this path would be loud or public. In fact, he encouraged silence. Your transformation is your own. You do not need to convince anyone. You simply become the version of yourself who no longer needs convincing. Self-mastery begins with awareness. Are you speaking from the old story or the new one? Are you thinking from lack or from fulfillment? Are you feeling forgotten or already blessed? Are you living from fear or from faith in your new identity? Each of these questions reveals the level of your assumption, and each day you get to choose again. This is not magic. It is law, a quiet law, a firm law, and it does not fail. People often ask, what if I'm pretending? Neville would say, you are not pretending. You are selecting. You are choosing a new state. And by remaining in that state long enough, the world must reflect it. That's the entire teaching. That's the entire truth. You are the operant power. You do not wait for permission. You decide who you are. And once that decision is made, really made, deeply made, everything else moves. People move, opportunities shift. The exact steps you need show up in ways you could not have planned. Because now you are not acting from confusion. You are walking in alignment. You are living in the end. This is the journey Neville invites us to take, not a journey of doing more, but of being more conscious, of observing the self, correcting the self, and stepping each day into the higher version of who we are. When you master your mouth, you stop cursing your own future. When you master your mind, You stop replaying fear. When you master your mood, you learn to remain unshaken. And when you master these, you master money, not by chasing it, but by becoming the kind of person it belongs to. So the real question is not, can I manifest this? The real question is, am I willing to become the person who already has it? That is the shift. That is the moment everything changes. That is where the power lies. This isn't a philosophy to read and forget. It's a way of living, a quiet revolution within. Every thought matters. Every word carries weight. Every emotion is a signal, and every assumption is a doorway to a new world. Neville's message is simple, but not easy. You are already what you seek. Live as if it is so. Persist, and watch how the world must mirror it. The end is not something you strive for. It is something you embody. The more real it feels within, the faster it shows up without. And that is the true mastery. Not control over others, but control over self. And in mastering self, you master your world.